Hi everyone, I'm Lindsey Moppert here, joined by our NFL and Bills insider Vic Carucci today. Vic, it's week 16 already. We've gotten down to the final 3 games in this stretch. It's been pretty interesting, a fight to the end, you could definitely say. And now the Bills are heading to LA on a short week to face the Chargers, who have actually had a bit of extended time traveling across the country. And still, the Bills are a heavy favorite in this matchup tomorrow. And yet we've still seen them play down to a certain level before. With the Patriots game, you can look back to the Broncos game, the Giants, just seeing the Bills let these teams hang around. How important is it this week, especially down this final stretch, to make sure that this team does not do that?
It's hugely important that the Bills don't play down to the competition, because it would be easy to do. You take one look at the Chargers, especially that disaster that they had in their last game against the Raiders, and you just don't see a competitive team. You saw a team that flat out quit. So you're the opponent and you're thinking, well, this could be really easy. All we really have to do is show up. But that doesn't work in the National Football League, even against very poor teams. And I don't think the Bills are going to be there mentally. They are in a very urgent place. They know that they are already in the playoffs, that losing and going home is on the table in all of these games. So I would expect the Bills to bring their best game to the West Coast for this one.
And Vic, I think too it's important to note, we talk about 2 teams that are in completely different places right now. The Bills have everything to lose against a Chargers team that really has nothing to lose. Not to mention, the Chargers coming off a pretty embarrassing loss to the Raiders in their last game on Thursday night, and their head coach gets fired, their GM gets fired, and on top of that, they have a pretty inexperienced quarterback who is now just getting his second career start in the NFL. I mean, how do you feel like that plays into it? I know sometimes people say, oh, it gives them extra juice. So what's your take on that?
There is a common theory in the NFL that a team that makes a coaching change during the season gets a bump from that. And if the players had just tuned out the previous guy or quit on the previous guy, well, maybe they'll have some incentive to play for the next guy and play for their jobs, because that's all that's left. They've gotten rid of the coach, they've gotten rid of the GM. It's all on the players now in terms of their future with the franchise. But I think with Gift Smith, the interim head coach who spent some time as an assistant with the Bills, there is a respect level that the players have for him, especially on the defensive side. And the word within their team is, hey, this guy gets us. Let's try to give him a chance in this game. So they might get some lift from that. But still, they are lacking so much, and they have some key injuries of their own. They're in a very bad place, and really all their focus is on repairing things for next year. But that said, pride can be a powerful thing, and I think the Bills would have to have an awareness of that too, that these guys show up to play a game, TV cameras are there. You just don't want to look silly, and you don't want to get just run out of the stadium, which could easily happen. So it will be interesting, and from the Bills' perspective, they know nothing about what Gift Smith is going to do with the scheme, with this team. He's got to make some changes. They might not be wholesale, but they're going to be different than what had previously been in place with Brandon Staley.
Turning our focus to the Bills. Now, last game, obviously, against the Cowboys, the run game was huge. It was everything. Josh Allen didn't have to wear his superhero cape. He just let the game flow. They admitted that wasn't originally the game plan, to just focus on the run game. But now that it is where it's at, and they have really unleashed the run game and James Cook, how do you feel like that can impact just the rest of the regular season?
I see it from 2 perspectives, because on the one hand, the fact that the Bills ran as much as they did and as successfully as they did sent a clear message to the rest of their opponents that this is something they have to deal with. That was not on the table previously from this team. They might have expected that it would be there, but now they see what it can do in its fullest form. The other part of it, and I think the revelation, is that the Bills are approaching games offensively with proprietary scheming versus the system. Because before it was the system, Josh Allen and the talent that they have in the passing game, just try to stop our guys and try to stop our explosiveness through the air. Now what they're doing is attacking the weakness of the opposing defense. The Cowboys, smallish defense, not great against the run. So you run on them, and you keep running on them until they can prove they can stop it. I don't expect the Bills necessarily to be a power running team in every game. But if that is a weakness exposed by the opponent, you're going to see more of it.
And James Cook was on that injury list with an illness, not with anything physical. He is off of it and no designation, but now kind of looking at the rest of the injury list. With Jordan Phillips going on IR with that wrist surgery that happened right following that Cowboys game, Micah, nothing new. He's the only one that's really out for this game. But something I found interesting, A.J. Epinesa also out for that Cowboys game. We saw how that went. And yet he's questionable. During the week, he spoke to the media and kind of said it was, they have to make sure that everything is in its right place. And in a way, it kind of makes you think, why don't they just let him sit this one out and maybe get fully ready and prepared for the rest of this stretch? Why do you feel that he's still questionable and could possibly play in this game?
Look, it's about pushing your way through. They are in the postseason. You don't mess around with this. You don't hold out of a game if there is any possible way you can play, because that could very well prove to be the last game of the season. I mean, a loss in any of these games effectively ends the year, even with more games on the schedule. So every player in one way or another is hurting at this point, and the urgency is there. I think one reflection of why I would not see a letdown from the Bills is just that. Hearing an A.J. Epinesa basically say, with my rib popping in and out, which sounds awful, that he would maybe go out there and still play. Now, you got to be medically cleared. You can't do anything that proves dangerous, of course, and you'd want the medical staff to make sure a guy is not putting himself in more serious harm by playing. But there is that willingness, that push, and there are players, again, who are hurting, who might just be saying, you know what, I'm gonna push my way through.
Now, with that 1-0 mindset, I mean, looking at the bigger picture here, how far do you really feel this team can go? What is their potential?
I think the Bills are peaking at the absolute best time. It happens at different times of the season for teams. It just does. And sometimes it's early. Sometimes it's the middle of the year. But the best time is December. The best time is when you're in that push for the postseason. You even see it with teams that have better records, much better records, that are falling upon hard times now because you've hit this stretch. And some of it is schedule-based, and some of it is just the wear and tear of the season or opponents catching up to what you do. I think the Bills in some ways have reinvented themselves. They certainly did from an offensive standpoint, and they've gotten a lift from there with Joe Brady running that offense. But I think overall there's a renewed sense and feeling of pulling their game back together, of not letting down and closing out when they have to in the late stages of games. So we've got to see more of it, but my sense is that this team is, you look at the entire AFC terrain, is playing the best football. It could be argued that if they're not equal with the Baltimore Ravens, who have the best record in the conference, they could be ahead of them in terms of performance if you really break down what both clubs do. So this is really, I think, a momentum that can carry them a long way. And what I mean a long way, I mean deep into the postseason.
And Vic, I think we've all seen before the Bills' record in those games in December and January, again, when it matters most. So that can take them a long way, again, peaking at the right time. I know we love to talk about that, and we will have plenty to talk about after the game tomorrow right here on Channel 2 for our post-game show. Vic will be there, our sports director Adam Benini as well. So again, Bills and Chargers in LA tomorrow night at 8:15 prime time. But for now, for Vic Carucci, I'm Lindsey Moppert, Channel 2 Sports.